Heart. Hold my beer. It's an interesting idea. 3 phrases that, depending upon the context, can have very different meanings. My name is Catherine Griffin. I'm the General Manager for OBG Hospitality at Palm Beach County Convention Center. And today we're going to talk about understanding the cultural context of which you're communicating. Low context cultures communicate very succinctly. They mean what they say what they mean, and the meaning is in the words. High context cultures, it's more about the relationship. It's about the nonverbal communication. It's about experiences. Low context countries, US, Canada, Germany. High context communicators, high context cultures. Think about the Arab nations, Latin nations, Asian nations. I have this applied directly in my job. My warehouse manager, Ansi, is from Colombia, a high context culture. If I ask Ansi something that I'm expecting, I'm a low context communicator, that I'm expecting a yes or a no, I should add Ansi was an attorney in his home country, so he loves words. Instead of the yes or the no, he's going to start and give me a 5-minute diatribe. And while I'm sitting there getting frustrated because I want the yes or the no, let's get on with it, get to the point. In Ansi's mind, this story that he's telling me has relevance, it has context into the yes or the no. Now that I understand that, I know instead of sitting there getting frustrated and I'm in my head like, come on, give it to me. Now I understand the story. I know I need to be looking for clues in that story. It's made me a better manager. It's made me a better listener because I understand the context of which he's saying. I understand the culture he's communicating from. Look around our classroom. We have many different cultures within this classroom right now. We've got Indian, we've got Asian, we've got Spanish. Myself, I'm Bahamian. All different cultures, all different contexts of which they communicate in. Even within the US, which is a low context culture, you've got regions that are high context communicators. My boys were raised in Charleston, South Carolina. My boys were raised to say, yes ma'am, no sir. It's a point of respect to their elders. But that's not always how it's received. Ryan, when he was in high school, he had a teacher come down from New York. The first day, he responded to her, yes ma'am. I got a call at the end of the day that he was being disrespectful. Like, no ma'am. He was being very respectful. This is how I raised my sons. So you need to understand the culture of which you're communicating. So next time somebody says to you, bless your heart, pause for just a second before you say thank you, because it may not be a compliment. Thank you. Questions? Concerns?
I'll just make a comment because I lived through that same scenario. I was born and raised in the South. My dad's from Tennessee, so if I didn't say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, it was a problem. And then I joined the military where, if there's any of the vets in here can attest, if you tell an enlisted supervisor, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, the natural enlisted response is, I'm not a sir or ma'am, I work for a living. Yeah. And I definitely had to unlearn that in that context change.
But bless your heart stays.
Yeah.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, honey. I feel like
Yeah.
they should teach that. I mean, so I'm married to an Israeli, so he's from a culture that's more high context, right?
Yes.
And I feel like after our first date, I feel like all I said to him was like, long story short, like,
Yes.
he kept going on and on and on. I'm like, okay, like, let's get to the point. So I think it might be something, like I haven't ever heard it presented that way, but it's, I feel like we should be taught this.
Yes.
Especially in our multicultural world that we live in.
Well, the story I told you with Ansi is a very, very true, very relevant story. I'm a much better manager with him now because now I'm listening. I'm listening because I know that there's a reason behind that. It's just not diarrhea of the mouth, which is what I used to think. And I wasn't listening. I'm like, come on, to the point. So. All right. Anything else? Any other questions?
I'm curious. I think you said that Asian culture
context.
Yep.
So how does that relate to the pictograph in, say, any Asian culture? Whether it be Chinese or Japanese or Korean, that pictograph tells a whole story in a very minute and limited context. So how does that equate to high context?
Well, an example that Bar gave in the book is if somebody from Japan says to you, let's wait and see, perhaps, let's see how this plays out, that's typically a no. It's a no in a very respectful manner. It's a way of saving face. It's about the relationship, it's about the harmony. So high context cultures are about relationships and harmony, where low context is about efficiency and directness. Low context is about the words. Your meaning is in the words. For example, I had left this out of my speech because I'm nervous up here. But at work, if I tell my team, set the ballroom for 1,000 people, 10 people per table, black linen, ivory napkins, gold chargers, there's no area for miscommunication. It's very succinct, it's very efficient. There's no place for them to come in. That would be very low context communicating. Where, again, in a high context communication, the ma'am, that's inferring respect. It's inferring that you are in a position higher than me, whether it is an age or your social status, there's an inference there, so that would be considered a high context communication. Anything else?
Okay, so